The National Anti-Corruption Commission ranks the Ministry of Finance and that of Public Works as the most corrupt institutions in the country. And the report is coming at a time when public accountants in the southwest region of the country are recommending the creation of an audit or account audit court to combat corruption in Cameroon. Plus, one man confirmed dead following a ghastly road accident that occurred here in the economic capital, Douala, yesterday. Good evening to you once again, viewers. We thank you so much for joining us in this edition of the 6 p.m. newscast on Equinox Television. Let's begin right away. In the central region of Cameroon, the National Anti-Corruption Commission, in its publication today, has identified the Ministry of Finance, that of Public Works, Public Contracts, Justice, and also the health sector in Cameroon as the most corrupt institutions in the country for the year 2012. The report equally indicates that the Lakantini Hospital and also the Central Hospital in the central region of the country, the Central Hospital in Yaoundé, caused the state to lose millions of francs CFA as a result of corruption. Let's have the details or the rundown of the report with Yaoundé-based correspondent Roland Akon.
The report of the National Anti-Corruption Unit on the state of corruption in Cameroon in 2012 indicates that 113 billion francs CFA was embezzled in 10 years at Sode Cotton, the cotton development company. The Budget and Finance Disciplinary Commission of the Supreme State Control had earlier indicted Iya Mohamed, the former GM of Sode Cotton, over managerial lapses at the company. Iya is already awaiting trial since June this year at the Kunengi Central Prison, and the hearing of the matter is expected to begin soon at the Special Criminal Court. The anti-corruption report charges some government delegates to urban councils in the littoral and west regions with the embezzlement of state funds and misuse of state properties. The report cites a government delegate in the littoral region who spends 3.5 million monthly only on fuel. According to the report, the National Anti-Corruption Unit, through its Rapid Results Initiative, recorded some positive results in 2012 as witnessed through the income of some hospitals in the littoral and central regions. The income of the Yaoundé Central Hospital in 100 days moved up from 328 million to 385 million. And that of the Lakantini Hospital jumped from 443 million to 590 million. The number of patients in both hospitals also increased. And case files, which took 5 months to be treated at the Ministry of Sports and Physical Education, took just 1 month during the 100 Days Rapid Results Initiative. The National Anti-Corruption Unit received over 2,000 case files in 2012 as opposed to over 1,000 files in 2011. According to Dieudonné Massigams, the president of the National Anti-Corruption Unit, these are all indications that the fight against corruption is ongoing in Cameroon.
Roland Akon ending that report in Yaoundé. Now the chairman of the National Anti-Corruption Commission has regretted that the rising awareness on the state of corruption in Cameroon is not helping redress the rising phenomenon as well, the fight against corruption. It takes only a collective effort to combat it once and for all. And let's have more highlights on the report that was published today with the chairman of the National Anti-Corruption Commission. He spoke to Yaoundé-based correspondent Roland Akon.
The state of corruption today is progressing positively. We have to know it, and we have a result of rapid intervention, and we have also the number of denunciations that we have. It is increasing, and there is also something which is showing that people of Cameroon all there so as to fight against corruption, and they are waiting for. We have told it that we must have branches of CONAC in different level, at the regional level and divisional level and so on.
And the question is, how can corruption be wiped out in the society? Or in Cameroon, the creation of an account audit court is, as instructed by CEMAC, would be a strong tool to fight against corruption in the financial sector. To be more precise, Southwest public accountants were speaking during a Boya or a seminar which took place to sensitize and disseminate CEMAC directives to some stakeholders in the Southwest region of the country. Roland Akong, or Aboya-based correspondent Eric Jatto, tells us more.
Southwest public accountants converge in Boya for a seminar on sensitization and dissemination of CEMAC directives. CEMAC in 2007 decided to develop its sub-region for effectiveness, good governance, transparency and efficiency in the management of public finance. And to achieve the above goals, CEMAC came up with instructions that all its member countries must create an account audit court.
It is obligatory, it's not a choice, that member states must create audit courts which shall be independent.
At a time that critics say public accountants in Cameroon are also playing a big role in keeping the corruption flag of the nation flying, these public accountants said in an expenditure cycle there are many stakeholders involved.
We have the authorizing officer who gives birth to the expenditure. The financial controller is there in the middle and the accountant pays. So people are of the opinion that public accountants has been promoting corruption.
There are then hopes that with the soon to be created account audit court, responsibilities will be spelled out and everyone shall be held responsible for the operation he or she shall be called to carry out.
That is how public accountants in the Southwest region of the country want to fight against corruption in that part of the country, precisely in the financial sector. We remain in the Southwest region of Cameroon. This time around, we take you to the Tiko subdivision. Tiko is so far announcing its readiness to welcome President Biya, but the question that remains in the minds of many locals in that part of the country is when the event would actually take place. Derek Jatto once again tells us more.
Tiko subdivision has announced its readiness for the visit of President Paul Biya.
We look forward. Now I'm telling you, we are ready to welcome the President Paul Biya.
Handing the Tiko roundabout project to the council, Mr. Faisin Tata Walters said even after the visit, the face of this roundabout will remain this bright.
I think we can talk about this roundabout for the next 20 years.
When Mr. Biya will arrive at Boya for the 50th anniversary of Cameroon reunification celebration, it is here in this village called Great Sopo that he will address the Anglophone population. Chief Etina Monono, on whose soil President Paul Biya will climb down for the event, says as a traditional ruler of the Great Sopo village, his land has been prepared for the guests.
We, in terms of the village, we have done a lot. We have done extensive cleaning of our village. We have painted our houses on the road. You can take an example from the Chief's Palace, which has just been renovated. It has been done in preparation for the President's coming. I'm sure that chiefs will be coming here, so I've prepared the palace for them to come. Perhaps we'll need to entertain them. All the village has been cleaned. Our mobilized dance groups.
And Boya is expecting 30,000 visitors for the 50th anniversary celebration of Cameroon reunification to take place at the end of this December 2013, though the date has not yet been announced.
Thanks indeed, Derek Jatto, for that update on the reunification celebration in the Southwest region of Cameroon. As we announced in the headlines, One person has died at Pekawit, a neighborhood here in the economic capital Douala, following a ghastly road accident that occurred. That was last evening. The victim, who was on board a motorbike, is said to have knocked a woman who was about crossing the road, and while the incident left the woman seriously injured, the bike rider is said to have died on the spot. The incident is coming at a time when security forces are intensifying road safety campaign to curb the increasing rate of road accidents in the country. Now, here in the economic capital Douala, still stakeholders in the domain of food and nutrition have resolved, amongst other things, to implement the Rome 1991 International Conference on Nutrition. They have also decided to bring everyone on board to fight against chronic malnutrition. They were speaking during the end of a workshop that was taking place for 3 days here in the economic capital Douala. For Hansen Chanji has more.
Considering the fact that Cameroon has a majority out of 44% cases of chronic malnutrition in Central Africa, and that the country needs to spend 16,000 francs per child and 47 billion francs CFA to reduce malnutrition to at least 20% yearly, meeting in Douala, stakeholders in food and nutrition domain are calling on everyone to put hands on deck to eradicate malnutrition, which is the #1 factor in the high rate of mortality of children between 0 to 5 years.
Who needs the involvement of all the sectors, the sector of agriculture, the sector of research, the sector of water and sanitation, and the implication of private society and civil society. And we hope that by the next year, activity will begin to fight efficiently against malnutrition in our country.
Nutrition experts say in order to eradicate malnutrition, certain factors must be taken into consideration.
Poverty is a main factor, education, health, and agriculture, food security. So we need to work together. And that's one of the key issues of the workshop, that we have planned actions together in synergy in order to raise the problem and to fight against malnutrition. One of the key issues is the choice of the intervention.
Chronic malnutrition is prevalent in 7 regions of the triangle, with the far north, the north and Adamawa having over 30%. When we ask how one can escape from malnutrition, the experts told us you must eat 3 times a day, 5 different vegetables and 5 different fruits. How many of us do that?
For Hansen Chanji, ending the report, now the first term holiday started today in secondary and primary schools, with many school authorities sounding positive on the level of syllabus covered so far, but they expressed their concerns over the lack of teaching staff. Let's have the details of the report with Jacques Ekwekinge.
Pupils and students have officially taken their end-of-term holidays after spending more than 3 months of the first term of the 2013-2014 academic year. In most of the schools we visited, the administration all sounded a note of satisfaction despite some shortcomings.
They did their best, and with little or no teachers, about 75% of the teachers are part-time. I myself am a teacher, so I went to class, worked with the children, and the teachers that were there were so enthusiastic. You know, with Anglophone culture, we are people who care about kids a lot. And the kids were so close to us and they worked so hard. I want to tell you that the Form 1 have the highest average in the whole school. They produced the best results. And thanks to the discipline, the cooperation of the teachers, teamwork, and above all, we cooperated with their parents also.
The reaction was also the same in the different nursery and primary schools we visited.
The children have done very well. The teachers, they were there to teach the children, and they have done very well.
The various activities were organized in the different establishments to mark the end of the first term. For the younger ones of the primary and nursery schools, they could only content themselves by showing their parents what they have learned during these 3 months through songs, recitations, and dancing. Meanwhile, their elders of the secondary schools had their report cards to take home for evaluation.
I passed my position by having 17.74, and I took position first. I was happy when they called my name telling me that I was in the first position. I took number 9. At first I took number 6, but I have to work hard during the next sequence to take back my position.
The students and pupils have 2 weeks to celebrate the end of year festivities, but not forgetting that the 2013 and 2014 academic year still has a long way to go, especially with the second term, which is usually considered short and delicate, to begin on the 6th of January 2014.
We take you to news out of Cameroon. Violence in the Central African Republic has left nearly 1,000 people dead since December 5th, 2013. A report from Amnesty International has declared the ongoing violence in the country has gone beyond the military and the rebels and is far becoming a war between Christians and the Muslims. Franz Vernkat has more on that story.
A crowd of former militias in Bangui catches a man saying he's a rival. These former members of the Muslim ex-Seleka group accuse the young men of belonging to a militia hostile to the president.
We saw him with a machete in his hand, on that side of the street.
The man is saved by the African Forces Police. Others aren't as lucky. Since rebels took control of the city in March, there have been waves of massacres by Muslim and Christian militiamen there. 200,000 people found shelter in the city's improvised camps after fleeing their homes. In the St. Paul Cathedral, the displaced are almost all Christian. To many, Central African Muslims have become the enemy.
We're suffering a lot. We want the president to leave. He's not a Central African. He's a Muslim.
The Muslim and Christian communities have grown apart, but religious leaders are pleading for unity and peace.
Our job is to tell people that no matter what has happened, our faith must be our compass, the light that guides us. We shouldn't give in to irrational barbarism.
Imam Omar Kabine says he's been threatened by Christian anti-Balaka militants in recent months. He has found refuge in the Archbishop's palace.
The war is between the anti-Balaka and former Seleka. Those confronting each other have political motivations, and they're using religion as a pretext. It's a selfish attitude. Christians and Muslims still live in harmony in several Bangui neighborhoods.
Some Muslims even protect churches.
When some militiamen catch an isolated Muslim, they kill him with extreme cruelty. Then the victim's parents want to avenge their child, and most of the time they come here. Here we try to push them away politely. We tell them that Islam doesn't tolerate this, and that Muslims should protect all praying houses.
Militiamen and extremists are still a minority, but many Central Africans have been traumatized by the war.
We stay with our international correspondent or our international partners, Franz Vernkat, this time around to add that parts of the ceiling of the Apollo Theatre that is in London collapsed during a performance on Thursday. That was yesterday. 76 people are said to have been seriously injured in the course of the accident.
A packed Apollo Theatre at the height of the Christmas season. About 700 theatregoers were enjoying a performance based on a best-selling novel when the ceiling collapsed.
We were watching and enjoying the show quite happily, and we were up in the balcony a bit towards the back. We were about 5 rows from the front just there, and we saw 2-3 people get up in the front row of the balcony bit, and then like quite quickly the next row and the next row, and they all started going that way, and then we heard a creak. And then the ceiling, which is presumably plaster or something, it just slowly and then just the whole thing just collapsed, just suddenly like that, and then instantly loaded dust everywhere, and you couldn't see anything.
Some in the audience even believed that the collapse was part of the show.
One of the actors said, "Watch out," we thought it was part of the play initially, so that was our reaction, wasn't it?
Sorry, a bang, everything, debris, dust, everything.
The seriously injured were taken to a nearby hospital in central London. Others with less severe wounds were treated in the lobby of a nearby theatre. Hundreds of emergency workers remain at the scene, but firefighters say that all people trapped have now been freed.
And in sports football, Young Sport Academy and Kano of Yaoundé are intensifying preparations ahead of the Cup of Cameroon finals that is going to take place in the days ahead. Rehabilitation works have been ongoing around the Amadou Aijo, in and around the Amadou Aijo Stadium that is in Yaoundé ahead of the event. and so far the date of the encounter between Young Sport Academy and Kanong of Yaoundé is still unknown. Now we remain in sports. This time around we talk about the recent classification by the World Football Governing Body FIFA. The December 2013, precisely the date of yesterday, 19th of December, of the World Football ranking by FIFA has placed Cameroon on the 50th position in the world and 9th so far in Africa. Cote d'Ivoire, which is still occupying the first place in Africa, is 17th in the international scene. Now Ghana is second in Africa, followed by Algeria, and in the international scene we have Spain coming first, followed by Germany and then Argentina. And we thank you so much, viewers, for joining us in this edition of the Primetime Newscast on Equinox Television tonight. We talked about the recent publication of the National Anti-Corruption Commission that has so far ranked the finance and also the Ministry of Public Works as the most corrupt institutions in the country. Equally, we talked about the recommendations of our public accountants in the southwest region of the country that are calling on the creation of account audit courts to be able to combat the rising phenomenon in the country, and also a fatal road accident that claimed the life of a man that was here in the economic capital, Douala, yesterday. We thank you once again for joining us. Have a wonderful stay in the company of our programs and also a blessed weekend.